But yeah, cold open. Me pretending to beatbox.
Welcome back to Colors of a Crutch. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as Wounded Satellite, and I'm joined by my incredible, fatherly, American celebrating co-host, Jordan Drake, aka SteeledDragon. Hey, you were in the military. You get to celebrate America. How was your Freedom Day?
It was fun. It was a good time. We a bunch of us ended up using that weekend to celebrate a couple of our friends' birthdays, and so we rented an Airbnb over by one of the lakes around here, and just had a really fun weekend hanging out and getting some good food and just getting to hang out and have some good times. So it was fun. What about yours?
Mine was good. I went down a rabbit hole recently. I occasionally just do this where I'll start learning about something and get really obsessed with it. And so I did that recently with cooking steaks. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos about cooking steaks. Shout out to Max the Meat Guy. I think that's his name. We're both Maxes, which I also, I guess, appreciated. But his videos are great and really, really informative and super clear and very step-by-step and good instructions that totally fucking worked. And I made some banging-ass steaks for all my friends on 4th of July, which was a really good time. And we hung out at the pool and played video games and watched people shoot off illegal fireworks, and it was a good day. No complaints. I had a good weekend overall. Like Saturday nights, I had a buddy of mine from the rock climbing gym who still works there. We went and climbed after hours to celebrate, and just like a bunch of us, hung out after hours in the gym, which it's so nice when you have the gym just you and your friends. And then Sunday, I met up with a bunch of friends, and we checked out down in Colorado Springs something called a Gothic Market, which we were just curious what that was. Wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be, but still, it was just fun to hang out with people. And then I distracted myself for a pretty ridiculous amount of time this weekend, obsessing over the question of... don't make that face at me. Don't make that face. Okay.
We talked about this for an hour.
I've talked about it for a lot more than an hour. Imagine a dimension where not all the things in the world, just one prime species, like one prime specimen of every species is taken to this world and scaled up or scaled down to being exactly 100 pounds. If they're able to all, and this is not microbials, this is just like actual, it's any animal that can live out of water. I took away the aquatics to not make it weird. So any animal that lives on land, exactly scale up to 100 pounds or scale down to 100 pounds. So like gorillas get smaller, marmots get bigger. If they could round robin style 1v1 fight every other animal in existence, what would be the most dominant animal? Like what would be the apex predator of the 100-pound division? And there's a lot of thought process here. There's a lot to go over. There's a lot of things that you go through. I've run this through now a multitude of AI simulations. The first place most people's minds go is cats. They're like, oh, cats are this perfectly designed predator. And they totally are. And this comes with a caveat where, initial AI simulation I did wasn't a fan of cats. There were no cats as top contenders. Additional AI simulations have done. Sometimes cats are busted for some reason. AI is like, this time cats are great, but most of the time they're not great. But occasionally jaguars are like top tier. But generically, the thought process to look at is jaguars are an animal, which they're the best cat. They scale down, so they get smaller. They're like base 140 pounds for males. And they are also hunting smaller animals. They're not often hunting animals that are the same size as them. If you take away the 100-pound thing, the most dominant animal is the elephant, right? Because it's just bigger and everything. Nothing beats the elephant one-on-one on land. But 100-pound division, elephants suck. They're absolute garbage because there's a lot of different factors there than just, size isn't the winning dominance place anymore. And so where my head went was, I don't want animals that are scaling down and are used to hunting smaller things. I want the animals that like fuck up shit that's bigger than them, right? Like that's the animal that when you scale it up and make everything equal, it's going to run train. And according to AI, I was right. My top pick was like the honey badger Wolverine family, and those were both in the top 3 in like every simulation. So that was really cool. Other prime picks for animals were the harpy eagle, the cassowary, which is an aggressive bird out of Australia that, looking at pictures of it, I don't understand how it stands a chance. But like every AI simulation thinks cassowaries are great. They actually like won the overall event in one of the simulations. Honey badger and the wolverine were both top tier. One had saltwater crocodile high. One of them gave chimpanzee a good running. just because like the intelligence thing, it would literally talk through the different skill sets, strengths, and weaknesses of every animal, and like why they were top contenders. There was a lot to go over, and it was really interesting. And I ended up having to split it into 2 scenarios because if you scale up insects where they function at 100 pounds, they're busted, like completely broken archetype overall. My pick was going to be the Asian giant hornet for the insect division. It was number 2 overall on my insect division, so I felt good about the pick, but scaled up to 100 pounds. That thing's like 5 feet long, 7 foot wingspan. Wings sound like a lawnmower. It's got a foot long hypodermic needle that pierces bone on its backside. It's got jaws that cut through steel. But if you include insects, the absolute dominant king of the entire world is the praying mantis, who would just fuck everything up and nothing stands a chance.
That's my pick.
Praying mantis did like absolutely dominate everything. It wasn't even close. Turns out being lightning fast and having scythes for arms puts you in a good spot. So that was really fun. I've spent a ton of time on it. I've got my whole job, everyone in my workplace talking and arguing about like what's actually best. Which it's my favorite thing about it is asking people this question even after I've done the simulations to see their thought process of how it goes. And I had a really funny conversation the last 2 days with one of our lead guys in security. I work in IT now. And so he's an incredibly security focused individual. And his immediate picks are like the pangolin, stuff with armor, like every single pick, even in the insect division. He's talking about stuff that has thick exoskeletons and all that kind of stuff. He's so security focused that he didn't even consider animals with talons and claws and jaws and all these offensive tendencies. This motherfucker was just like defense. Like that is how we win. So it's cool to see people's thought process and how they get there. But yeah, it turned out praying mantis if you include insects, and if you scale things in a way where how they should work, then of the normal non-insect animals, Wolverine is the overall champion on average. So much fun.
It's a really fun thought exercise because initially, like, a lot of stuff comes to mind, and you're like, oh yeah, that. But then you're like, oh, but at 100 pounds, it's not that great. Like big cats, like tigers and lions, or big reptiles, like saltwater, like you said, saltwater crocodiles around there on 1. Which normally, right, you'd be like, that's a pretty terrifying creature. But at 100 pounds, it loses a lot of what makes it terrifying. At that point, you're like, oh, I can bench press this crocodile off of me. At 900 pounds, that thing sits on my ass, and I'm not moving anywhere. I'm drowning to death. Kind of a big difference.
Most of the really big animals, their evolutionary advantage in reality is their size. And so losing the size advantage takes away a ton for most of them. I mean, you still got, like, again, saltwater crocodile was included on 1, jaguar was included on a couple. Like, there still were some larger animals that made the top contender cut, but they were never taken down the whole thing. It was always the little ferocious smaller animals that really came away in this meta.
Meta did favor the little guys.
The meta favors the little dude. We're fucking fighting. We're really cool. But yeah, I've wasted a pretty insane amount of time in the last few days thinking about that. It's been a lot of fun. But purpose of the video today, I've just been talking and having a lot of conversations lately about all of these various CDH players around the country that we've played with and we've gotten to know, and some of them we're friends with, some of them we don't know as well. But they're really phenomenal Magic players, and for various reasons, they're just not as well known. And we wanted to take some time. There's no sense talking ad nauseum about Ian and Jordan Drake, the players that everyone fucking knows and everyone knows are phenomenal. It's more interesting, I think, to give a little bit of the shining light to the players that people aren't talking about that absolutely deserve to be talked about because they're incredibly talented Magic players and they deserve some recognition. And we thought we'd take some time just to go over some of these guys and our experience with them and, how we view them as players.
I was going to say, I think it's one of those things where when you sit down at a table, the content creators are kind of the people you first know about because they're the ones that get a lot of the attention. And then after that, it's the kind of the people that win a lot. So people like Evan, I'm trying to think, like people like Andy and Kevin. So those are the people that you see them a lot at the top tables, and you see them consistently at the top tables. And we really wanted to shine a light on those kind of people who are doing that maybe more at a regional level, right? Maybe they can't afford to make the big tournaments. Maybe they're really busy. Maybe they only show up to like 1 big tournament a year, and really showcase some of these regional people who they're the people who really were going to kick your teeth in if you were going to go to more of like a local circuit event. Maybe they say like your 60-person events, or they're the person at your LGS that's just destroying people nonstop. And if they were ever to actually show up to a big tournament, they'd probably do very, very well. They never do. So Those are the kind of people that we really wanted to try and focus in on today.
Yeah, and from the people we talk about, I could already see in advance that there's going to be some people going, oh, these lists are so biased. They know these people. No shit. To be clear, I'm not saying the no shit from a perspective of we're listing them because we know them and because we like them. That's not the point of this here. But where I'm at is these are people that I know and I've played more games with, and therefore I feel confident talking about how they are as a Magic player. They're not just someone that I've seen has gotten some good statistics at a couple events. They're people that I've played with and I can say from experience are very talented Magic players.
Absolutely. And these are also people that you might know, but they, like, if they were to sit down at like a big tournament, most people would not recognize them off the bat, right? These aren't the people that are like, oh, I know who you are. I've heard of you. These are people who are very, very good players that just for this, that, or the other, haven't really made as big of a splash, I guess is the right word, in the bigger national or international scene.
Yeah. And so without further ado, Jordan, who's the first person on your list?
All right. So the first person on my list is Zeke Maxwell. And so I've actually had the pleasure to play with Zeke. We actually played each other at the top 16 at the Boyle, which I think has been Zeke's pretty much his best performance to date. Currently, Zeke is ranked number 237 on the leaderboard with an ELO of 1682. But in that game, Zeke was winning most of that game, right up until the very, very end where I kind of snatched it away from him. He was in the most dominant position. He played very cleanly that game. I think he played it out as perfect as he could. There was just no way to know what I was sitting on there at the end and how long I held on to it for. But I think he's a very, very talented player. I've heard some other players who've played against him who've also agreed. I think he's one of those people where you sit down at a table, if you don't really know that he's good, he's going to steal it right from you because he's a very, very talented player. Who do you got for your first person?
Well, I feel like I actually should have gone first here because when we talked about this, we talked about the reason this list exists. The person that made me even consider this concept originally is Mr. Colin Bennett from Oklahoma, who he's gotten a lot more well known now than when this thought first crossed my head months and months and months ago when I first met him many tournaments ago. I met him originally back in October. We played a really quick game that wasn't one that really got to show him stuff, but I got to talk to him a lot more and I got to play with him more after that. And dude is a phenomenal Magic player, and he was one of those guys that had the confidence, knew he was doing well, could perform in a variety of decks, and he was just someone that no one talked about. And I remember the thought crossed my head of I should shout out the people who are super dope that people just aren't giving recognition to. And so, yeah, first on my list is Colin Bennett. He's been playing a lot of Blue Farm lately, which there's always going to be people who play Blue Farm. He recently top forward. He top forward Mortal Kombat on fucking Ernest Street Urchin, which a lot of people are aware of. Kirkland Brown, very well-known guy from Ohio. Not the most well-known guy from Ohio. He just falls one tier below that top echelon of Andy, Kevin, Isaac, but really, really talented Magic player. He was on the top 25 for ELO for a while, as was Colin for a little bit here. But Kirkland did super well with Ernest Street Urchin pre-bans, and then post-bans hasn't really been playing as much, hasn't had performances on the deck. And then Colin was just I swear this deck is dope, and my homies were saying that I can't win without Blue Farm, so fuck him. And here he goes. He said fuck him, and he absolutely dominated with this deck all event at Mortal Kombat. It was super sick to watch. I got to play him in the Final Four, and unfortunately ruin his win turn with a Force of Will on his Snoop. But Colin's one of those players that has really impressed me with just really, really clean play paired with really good politics, which is always what you want to see. He's mulliganing for the right things. He's tutoring for the right things. He doesn't play too selfishly or too reserved. He really is a good all-around threat in that he's not too focused on doing his own thing, and he's also not too over-focused on what you're doing. He really rides that middle ground exceptionally well. He speaks very calmly. He speaks very cleanly. He's a very respectable posture of a person, if that makes sense. He stays calm. He stays level-headed. I haven't seen him... I know he's told me about moments that he's been frustrated, but I've never seen that exude out of him, right? He keeps his composure incredibly well and just plays super clean Magic. And he's a player that's consistently impressed me every time I've watched him play. And I hope to get more games with Colin because the ones I've had with him have been super fun and super interesting.
For my next one, I have Jacob Masten. He is ranked number 205. So I actually want to step back before I get into Jacob. My list the idea behind mine is I tried to stay out of the top 100. I have one exception on there, but really, I think a lot of the people who are sitting in the top 100 of the ELO are pretty much well known, or at least to the point where it's like, okay, I think nationally people kind of know these people, or maybe even less regionally. Like when I think of, who are the top players in each state, a lot of these people kind of start making that list. So I tried to stay out of the top 100 and just really focus in on players that are outside that 100 that I know are very, very fantastic players. And I know these are the people who I still think are threats to either jump into that top 100 or have been probably top 100 at one time or another, or easily could be in the near future. So, so Jacob Masten, so ranked number 205 right now, 1693 ELO. He just played him this past, was it this past weekend? No, 2 weekends ago at the River City Rumble, the Mana in the Bank event. He was on Elsha the Infinite, and in that game, again, just got off to a really fantastic start and was, I think, in a very commanding position and would have won if there wasn't a Thoracle demonic consultation that kind of came down on turn 3. That I don't think there was any world in which Jacob is not winning that round just from the seat position, the way they started the game. They had an unwinding clock on turn 1 or 2, I think. And of course, being an Elsha, like that just puts you so far ahead at that point. But the couple games I played with Jacob, it's always been a really fantastic experience. Good player, great politicker, but not in a way that's going to leave you with a bad taste in your mouth when you get off the table. I think they're very talented. Clearly, has found their groove with Elsha. I know they've been on a few different decks, but just someone I really respect, and I think they're very, very talented. And I think this is someone who I absolutely will see climbing up the leaderboards over time.
Well, I did not follow suit with you with putting a minimum ranking on the leaderboard for myself. I definitely have a few in the top 100, but what I've found is a lot of the people in the top 100 haven't played it at big events. That really hasn't been where they've gotten their ranking from. I'm looking at one person I'm going to get to and a few people down my list here that I know fits that category perfectly, of like a local all-star who just does incredibly well every time he picks up some Magic cards, but is not someone that's really had the big tournament performances as much. But the next person I want to talk about, since we already got to Colin, I want to stay in OKC, and I got to mention my man, Jonathan Vick, dude. Currently at 421 on the ELO board rankings or ELO of 1635. I don't think I mentioned Collins as well. Collins was 66, 1774. He knows he's good. Jonathan Vick, underrated man. Underrated man. First, before we even talk about the deck that he plays and that he's developed, let's talk about the person himself. What a homie. This man is so smiley. It's insane. Even when he's upset, he is smiling. He always has a smile on his face. I don't know how he does it. This man is always happy. He's always excited. He's always hyped. And he's always cooking. He is constantly trying. He's one of those people that doesn't want to just play the same cards everyone's playing. He restricts himself in that way and like openly will say, yes, I don't want to just play the Clever Impersonator for Ristic Study. I want to try a cool card and see how it performs. So he's constantly innovating, constantly cooking. And when people are doing that, sometimes it does result in some hits to their overall statistics. But like, dude is a phenomenal Magic player, though in quite the opposite way that Colin is, which is funny to look at the two and kind of compare them, as they are very good friends. Colin, I talked about being a really collected person, really very specific in his order of operations and his politics and that like mid-range style game plan. Jonathan Vick just wants to fucking go and do nothing but go. Like he plays all out turbo Rogthras. Me and him are like 35 cards different on our Rogthras decks. Jeez. They are not the same archetype. Oh, this man he's on like 2 counter spells in the entire deck. The entire purpose of the deck is make mana, win game. I will go fast. I will win. I am just a ridiculous number of creature combo. He beat me with Cloud of Fairy's Lily Splash Mentor in our last game. Like, that's he's so just funny. Doing shit. You know, he loves Empty the Warrens to make a bunch of tokens. He's on Nykthos and 3 Tree City as well as Gaia's Cradle. Like, this man is just trying to go fast. He does not want you to play the game. He swears by Tidal Barracuda. Like, he's one of those people that's not playing the cards you're used to seeing. A game against Jonathan Vick is going to be a unique experience for you. And I love how selfish he is in game. It's a very, very... Because it's not selfish in, like... It's not selfish in the Rogsai way, right? Like, the Rogsai way is very often selfish in a... I'm going to Necro and try and win, and it makes sense. But they also have the pivot points of being an interaction-heavy control deck. Like, that can still happen, right? They can still land the Rhystic Study and play mid-range. Like, they have those pivot points. Jonathan Vick is selfish with... There's no bumpers on that plan. Like, he just cut Seedborn Muse. He's just trying to go fast. And it's a really cool deck, a really cool play style. And... like, I've tried to politic against him to try and convince him to not go for things, and it has never worked. Not a single time ever. Has that always worked out for him? No. Has it sometimes worked out for him? Yeah. In our last game, I was trying to convince this man not to go for it, and he won through everything that I had. Because that's all his deck does is win, and all he wants to do is win. He does not care about you, and it's a dope-ass playstyle to just say, with as many smiles as a man can have, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool, actually.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of John Vick. And he's like a semi-pro arm wrestler. The dude is so yoked.
All right, next up on my list, I have Michael Harris. He's a Marnius player, ranked 129 on the leaderboard at the ELO 1726. I know Michael pretty well. We affectionately call him Boomer because that's his username on Discord. But he is very, very good player. I've noticed... probably since like November of last year, he's really turned a corner. Maybe it was December. But his 2025, he's been on a tear. And I think I've really noticed him turn the corner with his Marnius build and really be able to take it in some different ways. I think his list differs pretty heavily from some of the other Marnius lists that were out there. And he's been pretty influential in kind of driving the Marnius build there for a long time, just because it was just him and I playing that deck most of last year at kind of the heavy tournament level, and then I know Gold Sabretooth and him have been kind of leading the charge there for 2025. But again, fantastic player. Honestly, he just whooped my butt a couple weeks ago at my winning in and knocked me out of the top 16 at the Mana in the Bank, and it was not close. He was in control of that game the entire way. That's pretty much been every game I've played with him. He always seems to have the answers, and he's very meticulous and very careful about where and how he deploys his pieces. And with a deck like Marnius, where it's more of that control style shell, he plays it, I think, as perfect as possible. I think he's definitely found the deck that fits his particular play style. And again, I think he's been on a really good tear. I expect him to do some big things, hopefully in August, at the rate he's going. So, I think he's one of those people that we know him pretty well in the North Carolina area. And I think he's going to start making a name for himself kind of outside that area pretty soon.
I do have a fun tangent shout out for Boomer as well. I've actually known him, I think, longer than you. Because he was one of the first people I ever played with on a play-to-win Discord when I first started CEDH. So me and him have been playing against each other for a really long time. He was even on Marnius back then. That man has repped that deck since I started playing. He has not diverted course. But Boomer, I will never be able to forget in my life because he is the first person to ever accurately call out what my name is a reference to. Wounded Satellite comes from the song Animali by Incubus. It's a lyric within it, song I have literally a tattoo based on. And he was on a road trip and was driving, and I guess Animali by Incubus came on, and he heard that line and immediately messaged me and goes, "Hold the fuck up. Is this what it is?" And I was like, "You got it." So he was the first person to ever catch it. So I will never be able to forget Boomer for the rest of my life.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And you've talked about people in your homeland community, which means now I got to bring us over to Denver, Colorado, where I will be talking about the highest ranked ELO that I have on my list, number 49 overall. But if I say the name Tyler Lindblad to you, does that mean anything?
I feel like I've heard that name before.
He's started to get a little more notoriety. His ELO is 1794, and he is the Arkham Dagson player.
Oh, that explains it.
And
infamous Arkham Dagson player.
He is the infamous... Dude, the Denver meta is a wild, wild place. And I got multiple of these wild folk on my list. But Tyler is another man. He reps one deck and one deck only. And that deck is Arkham Dagson. And Arkham, if you don't know what it does, it's this weird old creature from Ice... What is this? Ice Age? Ice Block? Ice... It has the icicles as the logo, the symbol, the set symbol on the card. I don't remember what that set is called.
That's not Ice Age. Ice Age is the snowflake.
What is the icicles?
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. It is Cold Snap.
Cold Snap. Thank you. It is an old legend from Cold Snap. It's a fucking 2/2 for 4 mana that says tap it, and you have to sacrifice target artifact creature, which people miss that. It's targeted. So you can blow up that creature in response or change the target or whatever. Like that all works. It's not just sack its cost. People have to know that. And you get to tutor any non-creature artifact from your deck. There is no mana limitations, there is no cost limitations, there's no restriction. If it is not a creature and it is an artifact, you get to put it into play. That's the only deck Tyler plays. That deck, as Tyler will tell you, not really that good overall. It's a good deck. It is a deck that can win tournaments when they are in Tyler's hands, as it has. But it is definitely a lower generic power level strategy that is absolutely terrifying if you don't know how to play against it. And Tyler is the perfect person to pilot this pile for 2 reasons. Unfortunately, he recently got a haircut and his hair looks very normal now, but I think of Arkham Dagson as like a crazy scientist in my head. Like he's just messing with mechanisms. He's an artifact guy. And Tyler's hair used to look like anime hair whenever I would see him, where it was just like growing in all directions and going all out of him. And it looked like he just got electrocuted half the time. And I was like, there isn't a better human being on the planet to rep Arkham Dagson than this man that looked like he got electrocuted, who talks really fast, is really excitable, and is clearly so intelligent just as a human being. Tyler is one of the people that wins with politics. Like, he is a phenomenal top-tier politicker. He understands the game incredibly well. He's able to deflect incredibly well. He's able to defend his things, make deals, and, find still profitable middle grounds really well, which is what you have to do when you're playing a deck that people don't really understand and are sometimes afraid of, especially when they're always assuming that you're going to be putting a Portal to Phyrexia or a Godfair statue or something like that into play, which you can do, and he's super good at pivoting and taking that fear and turning it into just like the One Ring or something else that he wants to have. like that's the goal from the start, but you got to get there through the process of making it seem less scary, And he's so good at that. I'm playing a fringe deck. I know how to politic my fringe deck. I know how to win with my fringe deck, and I know how to stop your deck with my fringe deck. Right? That's what he's able to do so collectively as a pilot, because he's committed himself so well to understanding this deck, understanding the game. And yeah, I mean, really, if you play against him, the things that are going to stand out to you are he's such a smart guy, and he's so aware of everything going on. He's clearly just incredibly capable and has a mind of its own. That's
really cool. That's such a cool deck, and they just got the Endstone or whatever, one of the new leaked cards from Edges of Eternity. Oh, yeah. It's gonna be hot. That's gonna be hot in that deck.
I can promise you, Endstone will be in that deck. Endstone, for people who are not aware, is a 7-mana colorless artifact that we'll talk about in some video sometime coming up. But it says whenever you play a land or cast any spell, draw a card. It costs some life at your end step. Who cares?
Or no, it might not cost you some life depending on where your life is, because it says go to half your starting life total. So if you're at 10, it goes up actually.
Oh, I thought it was just cut in half.
No, it's actually kind of interesting.
What deck that's playing that card is going to be below its starting life total in CEDH?
I don't know, but it is kind of funny if like you're at 20 or you're at 10 actually, and then you're back at 20.
Life. Yeah.
I'm gonna gain. You're like, life. Oh, hey, I'm alive. Well, I don't know. With all those fucking Vivies floating around, they get up to like 10-10, and they're like, oh, hey, I might as well swing it. And you're like, please don't.
That's true. Vivi is scary. Vivi is scary.
All right, so yeah, next up on my list, my one exception to the 100 elo or 100 person elo rule is the Crosh, also known as Brian. He is a Dahada player who has been absolutely murdering it lately. Ranked number 33rd on the elo right now with a elo of 1825. Really, Brian is one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. I actually just got a chance to meet him. What was it? The Tennessee tournament? One of the many Tennessee events that were going on there. But really nice dude. Was fun to talk to. And he's just, he's been super excited. Definitely one of the Mardu, summer people that's out there right now. And he's just been on fire. Absolutely on fire. Like, he's taken down multiple events recently. Has been performing very, very well. Had some big top 16s. I want to say top 16 fishbowl. Doing really well. And, just super, super nice guy. Always, anytime that there's been questions or anything like that, I've been able to reach out, and he's always been able to answer them, and super supportive of kind of any of the stuff that we've been doing with my wife and I. And so really just can't say enough nice things about Brian. And again, he has screamed up the ELO rankings lately. And I think, his Dahada list is terrifying to play against. I think he's got it very dialed in right now. And, there probably isn't very many. I would not put a lot of players above him that are that dangerous with a Turbo Mardu deck right now. I think he might be one of the top 10 in the United States right now.
Brian is an absolutely phenomenal player. He's someone I've known and been able to talk to for a really long time. And he's, again, a very smart guy, very friendly guy, very composed guy, knows exactly what he's doing, and, very quickly assessed everyone trying to go slow, I'm going to go fast.
Yep.
And he's exceptionally good at going fast. His pretty much since I've known him, every deck he's been on has been turbo. He was one of the original Ob Nixilis guys. That's where he's kind of stuck and stayed.
Yeah. I struggle to think of even five people that I'd put above him that are turbo players right now, especially in Sans Blue, right? So
there's not the most pickings in Sans Blue.
That's fair. But even if you throw in blue, I'd be hard pressed to pick players currently playing right now that could probably beat him that are playing turbo.
I'm more afraid of him than I am of a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. It's for sure. I'm always a little afraid of like really good turbo players because their ability to pick the window is so perfectly dialed in at this point that they just know. They know as soon as they have it, they're going, and there's nothing you can do. You can't talk them out of it. You can't politic. If you haven't set up perfectly and don't have the pieces to stop them, you've already lost. It's game's over.
No, yeah, you're absolutely screwed. Sticking within the realm of Colorado, I have a few people to shout out in the hometown squad. And this is a person who I actually do remember every time I've played them. And I remember there's some people that you play against them the first time and you've never heard of them before, you've never seen them before, you play a game with them, and you walk away from that game going, fuck, that dude's a good Magic player. And that was, I remember I had that exact feeling the first time I ever played against Kevin Simmons when we were in Ohio. No fucking idea who the guy was. We played one game together. We both were like, this guy's good. But this guy, his name is Nolan's, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. First name Nolan, last name Zoller. I'm going to go with Zoller, whatever it is. No one knows this guy outside of Colorado. I don't think he's really traveled for events at all. I think he's only played in 1 or 2 100-plus person events. He really is like one of the hometown guys you were talking about at the beginning of the video that just hasn't played at a lot of the big events, hasn't really taken the time to travel to them. But in the events they are playing in, their stats are ridiculous. He is currently 50 on the leaderboard overall with an ELO of 1794. And I'm going to guess you've never heard this name before, right?
Nope. Not me.
Let me read off these stats to you, just because they're actually fucking ridiculous. They're like worth bringing in. Like this man has played in 15 tournaments. His win rate is, including draws and losses, 48.1%.
Jesus.
That's higher than mine.
That's
higher than Jason's. That's higher than Ian's. That's higher than Jorman's. That's higher than Waffles. That is one of the highest win rates I've ever seen.
I was gonna say that's because I've never seen anyone at 50, so that's gotta be at least one of the top, if not the top, win rate for
one of the highest win rates I've ever seen.
Right. I mean, we'd have to throw some
there has
levels
to be
to that
a threshold
and
of you've played in X number of events or whatever. But at some point, that there has to be a threshold, and if you put the threshold under him, I'm sure he is at or near the top of it. This man's stats are ridiculous. Pretty much the entire time I've played against him, he's been playing Thrasios Vial Smasher. I believe he has transitioned to something else in the post-bans meta. I'm not 100% sure. But the man is terrifying. Every single time I played against him, he is incredibly threatening to win the game. He is super composed, super clean in his lines, knows exactly what the fuck he's doing. He's one of those guys that you've never heard of, and if you play with him, there's a good chance you're going to lose.
So I have Zach Hood. He is ranked 111 with a 1738 ELO. Zach is part of Lemon Pepper Wet. So if you've ever seen this crew hanging around at the various different events, I'm sorry, is it? It's about wings, okay? I swear. That's what they told me.
Bro, okay, what for real? Lemon pepper, one of the most underrated spices that happens here. And then wet wings are in fact
fair.
better than dry wings. So honestly, they're fucking right.
I will agree with that. No, I 1000% agree. Though kind of I'm a little I'm kind of impartial to the Parmesan ones. Oh well. Lemon pepper is good though too. But yeah, you've probably seen that crew. They wear the black and yellow jerseys. Zach plays Sisse. Again, another very, very talented player. Honestly, anyone who can do really well with Sisse right now, I'm hats off to you. I don't know how this deck still performs because I see it coming from a mile away. And if I see it coming from a mile away, I presume the rest of the table can see it coming from a mile away, right? We can all count. We know, well, they should, right? We can all count. We know it's happening. If you've been playing with Zach long enough, you should know what Sisse is going to do. And around roughly the turn, it's probably going to do it. They haven't gotten that many new toys. What? I see a lot of them playing Torgal now. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. But Zach is an awesome player. Really, I can't say enough nice things about that entire crew. I've gotten to know a lot of them. Over time, just by they're really prominent in this kind of region. They play a lot in like Atlanta, Tennessee, North Carolina. So I usually see them at like some of those bigger events when they happen, and just a good group of guys, good group of people actually in general. And I think Zach is. There are a lot of really talented players in there, right? Like Chad is really strong, but Zach I think is just again fantastic player. Anyone, like I said before, anyone who can do really well with Sisse right now, you just gotta give him their props. He's very good at politicking, and I think has a very good grasp on his deck and on his win lines, and really knows how to get there well. So, I think he's one of those other players that when I sit down at a table with him, I know it's kind of game on. Oh, and here's the Suki. Here's the Suki.
Okay, look, she sat right behind me and looked really cute, and you just have to say hi to the baby. I love you.
I mean, honestly, right? Every video has to have a Suki sighting.
Every video
at some point
has to have a Suki sighting. Look at this dog. This dog is so fucking cute. She's such a chiller. She's such a homie. I officially signed on a new roommate at my house that's going to be moving in the end of this month, and so we will have 2 more dogs in the house. And I'm very excited for these dogs. Their names are Ozzy and Pete, and they're really fucking cute. And I'm so excited for Ozzy and Pete. It's going to be a really good time. Suki's going to have 2 other bros. And Suki has always been at her happiest when she lives with other dogs. She always ends up getting along with them wonderfully. They become best friends. They'll do that thing where they just exist and cuddle most of the day, and then they'll have a few spurts of playing with each other. And she's going to be a lot happier. So it'll be a good fit overall, I think.
Nice.
Next on my list, we're going down to number 438 on the ELO board. With an ELO of 1632, we have the Vietnamese squirrel, Mr. Kevin Tran. He's the Chatterfang guy.
Yeah.
And Kevin, holy shit, has he been fucking people up with this deck, dude. It's not like, oh, I brought a fringe deck and I'm sneaking in at 12 points kind of thing. Like, no, the events that Kevin has been going to lately, he's like first in Swiss every time. He's going straight undefeated, getting more than the necessary number of wins. Kevin Tran has been absolutely killing the game. From what I've heard, I'm not sure if this is entirely accurate. I think he's been playing Magic a very long time, but is newer to CDH, I believe is the accurate story. So I don't know what the exact timeline is, but has not been playing CDH a super long time, and is just a very talented player playing a deck that people do not understand. And I remember asking him at Mortal Kombat, I was like, how much of your wins do you think has to do with Brewer's advantage? And he said, there's definitely a good chunk there, where people just assume he can't win with one tutor type of thing. And he definitely can. So he definitely gets away with some stuff there. But in terms of how he plays, dude's really smart. And I think his biggest advantage is he's one of those people that kills you with kindness. Like, he is a genuinely wonderful, kind, respectful soul. He's always trying to make sure everyone's having a good time and that everyone's being chill, and he's just there to vibe and have fun, and if he wins, he wins. He's super happy about it, and he's been winning, which is the perfect result there. So, like, yeah, Kevin's one of those guys that I think if you play against him, he's like one of the people that's taken advantage of being underestimated. And he's been doing that wonderfully while just being one of the most banger human beings I've met since I came to Denver, Colorado. Just a lovely, lovely human being who it's an actual pleasure to play against. Every time that I end up matched up against him, it's this weird mix of emotions where I'm so excited to play against Kevin, but I'm also so terrified of his deck. But yeah, I really hope that more people recognize like what a talented player he is, and he clearly still has so much more room to grow in the format and is only going to keep getting better. And it's something I'm excited to see.
You're kind of killing his skill right now, though, right? Like now everyone's gonna know about the Chatterfang deck run by Kevin.
I mean, be afraid of the squirrels. He's gonna show up. He's gonna show up, dude. You know how some people like, if someone's playing Malcolm Timna or Marnius, like they have a little stack of tokens underneath their commanders. It's like their treasures.
Yeah.
Kevin has a stack of squirrels that's about that thick that he leaves under his commander. He's got a lot of squirrels.
That's awesome.
Who's next up on your
It's
list?
such a cool deck.
It's so cool.
I have Jonathan Go. He is ranked number 197, a 1695 elo. He is most well known for playing Essica and top 16ing the Boyle 2, where there was the double Essicas. So Jonathan is one of the big Atlanta players. Super nice guy. I mean, every game I played with him, he is unbelievably friendly. Even when he's trying to fish for information a little bit or politicking you, he definitely, you were just talking about kill them with kindness. I think Jonathan is one of the friendliest players I've ever played with. Essica's a really cool deck too. It's kind of that turbo 5-color deck that I think gets away with quite a bit in some of those games because people are like, Essica, what is this doing? And then they don't realize, oh, it's a turbo deck and it's just going to do the turbo thing to you. But fantastic player. Again, we were talking about like really, really strong turbo players. Every game I've ever played with Jonathan, I know he's going to send it and he's not going to be politicked out of it. He's very, very careful about when he goes for it and where and how. And I know when you play with some turbo players, right, as soon as they have it, they send it. There's not really a rhyme or reason or a thought to it. It's like, I've got the cards, I'm going. It doesn't really matter if there's a window. And that can throw games into some weird board states where you kind of go towards a draw. Every game I've ever played with Jonathan is never like that, ever. He's always extremely patient about when he's going to send it. And so that when he does, it's optimized for his best chance at winning. And he's done this with some terrifying consistency. And I think he's one of those players where when I sit down at a table with him, I know I have to be ready for it to happen really quickly, but also know if the board gets to a state where it's not really going to happen, he's going to be extremely patient, and that puts him at this point where he's still going to be a threat through the rest of the game. He's never not a threat when I'm sitting at a table with him, or at least that's how I perceive it, and I'm sure he appreciates that. But really fantastic player, and I've enjoyed every game I've ever played with him.
Turbo players, they appreciate the respect for who they are as people. They do not want you to respect them in the game.
True, very true.
To finish it up, I have... Well, not to finish it up, but to finish up my Denver category, because I have to I have to talk about the hometown homies, all right? And this is probably going to be the most well-known overall name on the list that I'm going to say, not from the skill perspective, from people knowing how good they are as a player, but they are now recognized as a content creator. And the last person I do want to shout out is Logan Don. He is one of the hosts of Critical EDH, so a lot of people have now heard this name and seen this person, but I don't think they recognize how good of a Magic player he is. He's currently ranked number 98 on the ELO board, 1745 ELO, and he's accomplished that while a lot of it is Wrong Sai, which he's known for developing Wrong Sai, and Wrong Sai is a phenomenal Magic deck. There's also been tournaments that he's brought Krok Sidar and stuff like Kodama Thrasios. Like, he he's a cooker, right? The entire Critical EDH crew, one of the things I actually genuinely love about them as people is they are constantly trying to innovate. They're trying to test new things, trying to see what's possible. You know, if you saw the little quick YouTube short of me playing Maelstrom Wanderer the other day, that was me playing Logan's Maelstrom Wanderer deck and having one of the most fun games of Magic I've had in a while with it. And the dude is a very talented player, and he's another one of those guys that I don't think people realize has not been playing CDH very long. I think if he told me correctly, if my memory is accurate, this might be wrong, but I believe he's been playing right about a year now total, which to already be as good as he is, that's very impressive. He is one of those people that I've sat down with, and when we played a table, he clearly has a very, very good depth and breadth of understanding of the format. He knows what everyone is doing. His interaction points are correct. He's able to politic incredibly well. He's a very composed player. He has good reasoning. He's one of those guys that comes across like you can trust him really, really well. And he's also, from what I've watched from observing some of his tournament games, really fucking good at cutting through the bullshit. One of my favorite games I ever saw was him playing Wrong Side over at the Cradle event in Arizona, and he was in a pod of like straight bangers. And, you know, he goes to put Defense Grid on the stack after there was, I guess, a big interaction battle, and he's pretty right in assuming that everyone's out of interaction. And one of the other players shows a Force of Will and tries to convince him to take a draw on the revealing of this Force of Will because he will be sending his win attempt into one player's single Mystic Remora. And he just looked at them and he was like, no, counter it. Like, I do not care at all. And so, you know, he got his Defense Grid countered, and then he proceeded to send a win attempt and win a Bangras pot. But that's just kind of an example of the play that I've consistently seen from him, where he knows what he's doing, he doesn't fall for any tricks, he's fully aware of what's going on, and he's still learning, which is a really cool thing, while still having such a good grasp on the format. He's a player that has been impressive to both play with and watch, and I'm glad that he's my local. I want more players like him in the format. And they're hosting an awesome YouTube channel, which if you haven't checked out Critical EDH, it like genuinely is a sick ass channel. You should totally check it out.
Absolutely. No, they are great people too. Like I can't say enough nice things about that entire crew as well. Really, really awesome people.
Yeah.
All right. For my next up, I have Dallas Glaze. He is ranked 342 on the ELO board right now with a 1649. He's most known for playing Malcolm X deck. I say Malcolm X because he was doing Malcolm Tana. Now he's playing Malcolm Vile. I want to say it's Malcolm Vile. I think he's most well known for being the top. I think he was top in Swiss in the original Boil, the first Boil. And then, you know, it was unfortunate, did not make it into top 4. But again, another very fantastic player, another one of those really strong Atlanta players. I think when I think about players who I've played with consistently, like people I've seen quite a bit, Dallas probably gives me more fits than just about anyone that I have played with. I don't know what it is, but that man has my number, I'd say, more than most other players. Every game we've ever had is a straight dogfight. Him and I love playing against each other. We constantly talking shit on each other in a fun, jestful, playful way. He's a really, really good friend of mine. And he is, when I think of like the people in CEDH that I have loved to meet, like the people who, when I joined playing CEDH, and I think about like why I go to events and the people that I really like seeing at events, Dallas is one of the highest ranked people for me because he's just super nice guy, fantastic human being, really fun to be around, really good to talk to, and an incredibly talented Magic player. I know he hasn't gotten out to that many events as this year as he was able to last year, but I think he's still an absolutely fantastic player, and I think I could probably go on and on about Dallas forever. He's one of my favorite human beings. He's such a good guy.
I could also go on and on about Dallas. He's such a fucking homie, dude. I love Dallas, dude. He is funny. He's kind. He doesn't give a shit what other people think. Like, that's my kind of people right there, dude. I love Dallas. And yeah, this motherfucker wants one thing, and it's to hit you with Malcolm. like, that's his vibe. That's what he likes in CDH. No wonder him and Lily get along.
Yeah, it's the same shit, right? Fucking Malcolm decks. Always Malcolm with me. I play against Malcolm more than any other deck in this format, I swear.
you guys are the Malcolm meta, and I don't think it's close. Like, you probably have the most Malcolm players in your area of the country over anywhere else.
The last South Carolina event I played in, every single round I played a Malcolm Vile. Every single one. And every single one of them was like, oh, you're Lily's husband, right? My build's up based on hers. And I'm like, great. That sucks for you because I know that build inside and out.
Did they beat you, any of them?
No, not a single one of them.
No, they're not going to. You know that deck.
The only one that came even kind of close was Lily herself, but she still didn't beat me on that one. Though she has beaten me in a bunch since and before, so you know.
I am still yet to get successfully cucked by Lily. One day she will win.
How many games have you played against Lily? Like in a tournament? It's been very few, right?
I'm talking about our casual games. We played a bunch of casual games where she has attempted to cuck me several times, and I have always had the answer to Glenhorn Cucketeer every single time.
One day she'll get you.
Yeah. Next up on my list, we're going to the West Coast. We're going to the city of Los Angeles, where I have 93 on the ELO board with an ELO of 1751, Mr. Jeremy Davis. Now, you were talking about Jonathan over there doing okay with Sisay. Jeremy is also a Sisay pilot who plays one deck, and one deck only, and that deck is, in fact, Sisay. And this man has been cooking on Sisay for forever, but no one knows who he is because he doesn't actually go to that many events. He is the guy who, back before you played CEDH, we had a Mox Masters Invitational. And leading up to the Invitational, the day before the Invitational, there was an Open. And anyone who made top 4 in that Open got entry into the Invitational. Jeremy went to the Open with literally never playing a Mox Masters. Top 4'd the Mox Masters Open, made it into the Invitational, and then top 4'd the Mox Masters Invitational. Do you know how fucking badass that shit is? This man is, I call him Jer Bear. He's a good friend. I love Jeremy. And he is a phenomenal player. He is one of those guys that is very good at the politics side of Sisay. Like, he's exceptionally good about being more forthcoming about what he's going to get, to, like, almost very similar to the way we talked about Tyler with Arkham Daxorm. Like, he will scare you with the concept of the portal to Phyrexia so he can just go get the One Ring. Right? I've seen Jeremy do a lot of that with Sisay, where he will happily agree to not get the broken I win the game thing in order to keep getting something that continuously obtains him value, that still, like, functions on this middle ground of, I'm going to grind this game out. And I've seen him play a lot of really long, grindy Sisay games where he's able to squeeze through and find the line. And that's the thing that's continuously impressed me about him. Like, even when the bans happened, right? He made top 16 on Fishbowl after not playing Magic for 2 months on Sisay. He's one of those guys that just can't afford to play that much with his job and his kid. He doesn't have the time available. But when he's able to go to these tournaments, he is consistently performing. He's top 16ing almost every single event. His conversion rates and win rates are phenomenal. He's an incredibly talented Magic player, and he's one of the best people that you will possibly ever meet in this community. Me and him had a judge talk to us after a top 16 game at Fishbowl out of the confusion of why we were having so much fun when we were losing, and they were confused. Because me and Jeremy were just joking around and just, like, having a good time while letting our buddy Alex cook the shit out of us because he just nosed us out of nowhere. So, like, he's a good time. I love Jeremy. I hope everyone gets a chance to play with him, even though I know they won't because he doesn't really get to play that much anymore. But I hope he's able to come to more events because the dude is a phenomenal Magic player.
Next up for me, I have Malik Ali. So Malik is, what is it, Malik? He is ranked 267 with a 1673 ELO. What's really cool about Malik is, again, probably one of the best players in North Carolina, probably top 2, maybe top 3. And it's, again, one of those players that just regionally will destroy you over and over and over again. Travels all over the state of North Carolina. Doesn't get to as many events outside of North Carolina, I think, as probably would like. But when they do play, they're just dominating. I mean, they just went undefeated in like a 50 or 60 person event. Usually they're almost always guaranteed to be top 16. And what's really cool about Malik is they don't do it with just one deck. I don't think they take the same deck to any event ever, it feels like. Like, I've seen them top 16 or takedown tournaments or top 4 or whatever with like 10 or 15 different decks. It's just they're constantly cycling through different stuff. They constantly want to test new stuff. I think most prominently they've run Rogthras. I think that's kind of their big tournament deck. And then, of course, they kind of gained a little bit of infamy for taking down Sam Black in the Black Lotus Invitational that Go just did in Tennessee like a month and a half ago. And I think, that has probably been their biggest victory, so to speak, to date, was top 16 in that event. And I think, again, just a very fantastic player. They will not he will not politic you at all, right? Like, Malik does not politic. You try to, you just get told no, go play. And is very, very good about navigating those like complicated, not stack interactions, but just those complicated like political battles that sometimes happen. Malik will just cut right through it and just be like, make your play. I'm not politicking. We're not going to sit here for 2 hours. I'm not going to volunteer information. Like, that's the kind of player Malik is. Very, very steadfast, very, very to the point, but also very, very skilled at, I'm going to make this optimized play in the game to get to where I want to go. So very, very good player.
If you take off their Scooby-Doo mask, it's just Ian in disguise. Malik is one of the only people I know that plays Tayam that I like.
So terrible. Your Tayam hate is crazy.
Dude, I fucking hate Tayam, but I like Malik. He gets the pass. He's a homie, dude. And Malik, sharp looking dude. He shows up to events looking nice. We're talking like nice button downs, well done hair, good cut on the hair. That like the dude he's a good look. He's a handsome dude. Like, but he does well with himself. He shows up looking fancy and ready to play, and he means business. Next up on my list, I have a player who kind of doesn't fit exactly what we're talking about here, but kind of does. I can't speak to as much personal experience. I have to go a little more third party on this one. I want to talk about Cam Dixon, Cam Daddy D. He is currently 99 on the ELO board, 1745 for ELO, and definitely has gained a little more notoriety, a little more awareness. More people are aware of who he is. I first met Cam when I was playing in Ohio at the end of 2023. And as Cam, I would hope will happily admit to you, at that time, wasn't that good. Like, he was a really nice guy, and I loved playing with him. He was one of my favorite people I met in Ohio from just a personality standpoint. Like, the dude means business. He's about his grind, his hustle in life. He's wearing, like, Slipknot sweatshirts, and, like, he's just a funny, like, he's a homie. He gives the vibe of, I am just a fucking homie, and I love that about him. But in terms of pure Magic school skill, when I was in Ohio, he was learning. He was in his learning stage. And the man has learned, from what I've heard. And now he is just fucking people up with Italia on repeat. I think he won like 3 tournaments in a row on Italia in Ohio. And as people will note in CEDH, the Ohio meta is probably the densest, most difficult meta to navigate in the format, right? Like, in that condensed area, you get Kevin Simmons, Andy Beach, Isaac, William Hudgel. There's a bunch of people who aren't really playing tournaments anymore, like Bailey, that are still really good, that play sometimes, I think. And then there's just an entire other crew of like very talented players in the Ohio area. Their tournaments are not easy. Like, you are constantly going up against a top tier player in pretty much every pot. So consistently winning those events is a huge accomplishment. And I just want to shout out Cam, because Cam deserves it, and I'm super proud of him, and he's such a homie of a guy. So keep fucking people up with the dyno and keep doing what you're doing. I haven't like had the pleasure of playing with him in recent memory, but from what I've heard from everyone, the dude got a hell of a lot better and has figured it the fuck out, and I'm proud of him.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a good story. For my next person, I have Blake Geary, who plays lately. They're ranked 209 on the ELO leaderboard with a 1692. I knew them mostly for playing Clam Chowder Sisse, and it seems like after the bans, they were kind of lost in that post-ban world of, I'm not really sure what this deck does anymore. But lately has seemed to found their footing with Ral, and has been absolutely cooking people on Ral. This is someone who, every game I've ever played with them, it's been a fun game. They're very, very talented. Just we're able to always find new avenues and ways to get there. I think when I think about like their skill set and the fact that they're on Ral, that terrifies me even more, because they were already very, very good at the Sisse Clam Chowder build, and very, very good at like navigating through some of the more complicated aspects of that build in terms of like what avenue and what path do I want to set up on. And I think having something like Ral, where it's very stormy, you've got a lot of different ways that you can kind of finish people off and kind of navigate through that deck. The prospect of that person playing that kind of deck terrifies me. And I know I've not gotten to play them since they've been playing Ral, but I know when I do see them that I will be absolutely terrified just because I know the kind of player they are. Every game, again, was a fantastic experience with them. Very, very talented person. Very, very. I knew when I sat down with them, it was going to be a fight. It was not going to be a game where I'm going to get away with it easy or that I'm like, okay, this is a pod where I feel like I can set up my value and then just try to outgrind and talk and out-talk people. I knew when I sat down with Blake, it was going to be a battle. They were going to try and win very quickly, and it was always going to be one of those games where I've got to be on my toes. I've got to be at my very, very best if I'm going to pull the win out here. And so I think there's someone that is still a very, very talented player.
Hell yeah. I'm going to give a quick honorable mention. I'm not actually going to talk about them in full, but one of the people I considered bringing up was Zachary Scipione. He hasn't really been playing as much, so it didn't make sense for me to put him on the list. But you bringing up Clam Chowder Sisse made me think about it, because he was a phenomenal Clam Chowder Sisse pilot. Has not gotten to play in many events, just doesn't, I think, quite have the time or the ability to travel too much for them, but he plays in all the Boston events when he has access to them, and post-bans has been on Lumra, and is just like a very talented Magic player and a really cool guy that I enjoyed meeting at a few events. But that'll bring me to my actual last person, who this worked tangentially because he's also a Boston boy, and he is probably also my oldest friend in the CEDH community. I know him from back when I lived in Boston and when we played casual Magic together, and he has probably one of the most inaccurate elos I've ever seen in terms of how good a player is to how good their skill level actually is. And this is unfortunately one of the situations where he is an adult with a job and a family and children and is barely able to play. And his name is Dave Kaiserman. And Dave, have you heard that name before?
Nope.
Almost no one knows Dave. And Dave, I do want to pull up his statistics here to take a peek real quick, because I'd be willing to bet that Dave is like ridiculous win rates, like absolutely fucking insane. His name is Kaiser on here. So overall, he's ELO number 218 overall with an ELO of 1689. The man has gotten to play. Okay, so yeah, he's barely has any events on here. He only has 6 tournaments on Top Deck. The results of those 6 tournaments that he has played, all of them at least 50 people. One of them being the 245 player event at Royal Rumble. Would you like to guess what his conversion rate is on those 5 events?
I'm gonna say 75%.
Top 4, top 16, top 4 of the Royal Rumble. That was a 245, and top 4.
So 100%. Oh God. Okay.
So, on his of those like 6 events, or of those one of them was like a weird 17-person event, so I'm not really counting that one. But of the 5 events that are at least 50 people, he has top 4'd 4 of them and top 16 the other one. Like, the dude is a phenomenal Magic player. Got his start on Tameshi, was messing people up with Tameshi for a while. I remember when he met Ian originally, Ian even had a conversation with me where he was like, oh, Dave is, like, actually very, very talented. He is, again, one of those people that is just fucking smart. You know, he's a consultant by trade. He's incredibly good at working with people. He's intelligent. He knows his lines. He knows what other people are doing. He's able to weave through the politics of the table incredibly well. He has the personal skills. He's the combination of EQ and IQ, and he's a motherfucking homie, and I love Dave. Oh, my God. And he is, again, he's a guy who cooks. Not only does he have these crazy win rates, but he has these win rates while cooking. So Tameshi was his favorite deck of all time. He refuses. I have tried to convince this man to play Kinnan or Rogthras, or even I've mentioned Blue Farm at one time during a conversation. Like, I've tried to convince him to play top-tier decks for a really long time, and he has told me to absolutely fuck off every time. He has no interest in playing what other people are playing. He wants to be doing something original and unique. He knows he barely gets to play Magic. He likes people looking at his deck, so he wants to be, he wants people to see his deck and know that he was a part of the creation of that. I think that is something that he does care about. And so, the deck he top 4'd Royal Rumble with was Hidetsugu and Kairi. Right? I remember brewing that deck with him. Like, he's the only person who's had really big, consistent success on that deck. And he's so, and I'm not just talking like in tournaments, like in leagues and playing with people casually. Like, he fucks people up with this deck. No one sees it coming. He's played Scion of the Ur Dragon before this new combo played out. He's been playing Scion for like 2 years. like he only likes to play decks that not a lot of people are on. I remember one of his favorite ones was I don't even know the name of the card. It is a black-red legend from the Unfinity set that like exiles instants and sorceries from your graveyard on a face-down creature, and when they hit, you can cast the spell for free. And it does just all kinds of weird stuff, and that's how he likes to play Magic. You know, he immediately built Captain Howler when it came out. He's constantly doing something new, cooking new decks into the format, having really good success with them, and it's just a super unfortunate thing for the CEDH community that this man is not able to play more. And yeah, I love Dave. I've known him a super long time. He's also one of those players that he was probably right after I thought of Colin, and the reason I thought of making this list, Dave was the first name that popped into my head as this is a guy that does not get anywhere near the recognition he deserves for not just what he's done for the format in terms of making new decks for the format, but how good of a player he actually is. He is absolutely top tier. He is phenomenal. He can hang with the absolute best of them. Like he's one of a kind.
Last person I'm just going to shout out real quick because my computer's kind of dying. So I got to do this quick. My honorable mention is just going to go out to someone I've been coaching, and their name is Preston Grady. They aren't ranked the highest. They're 892. But the reason I wanted to include them in my honorable mentions is because I've seen them really grow as a player over the last probably 3 to 5 months. Just were able to start turning a corner and becoming much more consistent. They found a deck that really spoke to them in Malcolm Kedis, and I think they're starting to see more consistency, more success with their deck. I think they're becoming a player to be feared at the table. They're very, very good at finding those openings. Their politicking has gotten a lot better as they've practiced more, and we've been able to coach them through some different stuff. So I just really want to shout them out because I think when I think about players that and I sit down and I have enjoyable games with and people who I think are really good players, I think Preston is definitely one of those players who's learning very quickly and is on the up and up, and I think is going to be a threat in a lot of tables moving forward. And actually, I think they just won their first tournament, like just this past weekend, which is awesome.
Round of applause for Preston. Round of applause for the man. Fuck yeah, dude. First tournament win you will never forget. It's a great feeling.
Yeah. So, this was a cool list. I think this is a really cool idea, just getting to talk about a lot of players that are very, very talented that, just don't get that recognition, really.
Yeah, and they deserve it. So, sorry this video wasn't about a tournament experience or, dope new Magic cards coming out or some ranking video, but this was just, we wanted to shout out some people, and they're people who deserve more recognition in the community, and we hope you get to play against these players because what this community wants is really good players who are growing and learning and expanding the format and doing a lot of good with it. And, you'll saw it. I listed multiple people who are just cooking and playing unique strategies and frizz decks, and that's something I really respect and appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely say hi to these players if you see them in pods. Well, we appreciate you guys sticking around for this video. Max, you want to take us away?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for listening. What the fuck was that?
It was our away,
Whoa! Thank you so much for listening to the Colors of Crutch podcast. My name is Max Sternberg, also known as WoundedSatellite, and I'm joined by my incredible, cuddly co-host, Jordan Drake, a.k.a. SteeledDragon. We both individually offer CEDH coaching. You can hit us up on our Discord, Colors of Crutch, which will be linked in the thing below, as well as our Twitters or whatever other forms of communication we have, if you're interested in either of that. Additionally, the Patreon is back and set up. Any support is absolutely appreciated. And yeah, please join the Discord, join the conversation, and thank you so much for listening, and we hope to talk to you guys next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.